we do have quite a few organizations that have enough project data, leveraging SYNCHRO, and they've been using that for, a really interesting space on the, front end of a project during estimating is reference class forecasting. So they're taking prior historical information on, how productive they were on particular activities, finding similarities between the new project they're looking at and looking at prior ones and referencing against that. So they're using that information for, and as they gain more and more of their data, more and more information on their projects, they're getting very, very good at ultimately predicting the productivity and capabilities of their organization. So that's really, fascinating stuff there. I mean, to the point you brought up with Greg, I work with him quite regularly, and he's pushing some pretty cool boundaries with the metaverse stuff now too. On the model side of things, we had a really good experience. Before I got into product management, I was running our services team for a couple years, professional services team, and we're doing a schedule review with one of our accounts. Now they're doing all the scheduling. We're helping them kind of just work with the tools, and almost right away, somebody had said, "Wait a second, the piles aren't put in yet. Why? There's something wrong with the schedule." And what that had a spin-off effect is they had scheduled the piling at the wrong time frame, and then they looked at the actual calendar when they were planning the actual piling versus when they actually had the equipment on order. There's like a 4-month gap. But this is great. At first jaws dropped, but we were at such an early enough stage of the planning of the project that they said, "Oh, well, just get on a phone call. Let's go fix it." Right. That right there, that made that prevented the project from going over budget. That was a massive win, right? And schedule too, because this was on an interstate highway. So you're not just dealing with small impact to say a building or whatnot. You're dealing with highways being shut down. You're dealing with multiple DOTs clamoring at you saying, "Why are we behind?" or what's the holdup? So all that has a spin-off effect and indirect costs to supply chain for other projects or grocery stores or everything, right? So
and it's an amazing example, and also brings to light like one of my least favorite things in our business, especially software, is ROI, because you found that problem. You can't quantify all of what you just said.
Yeah.
Right? How do you quantify a mistake you never make?
So that's a good point. I struggle with that one all the time, because you get the question, what's the ROI? Like, well, I mean, a project is a unique snowflake in its own respects, right? Yeah. We can get a good idea of what it would have done, but there's a little bit of like black magic and saying, well, what if this happened?
Well, and you bring up that example, and it's like, okay, I can put a hard cost on a couple of things in there, but what cost do I put on not getting my ass chewed out 4 different times by the DOT, by the local jurisdiction, by the police that have to be organized for rerouting traffic, and then the grocery store person who's yelling and making phone calls, all that stuff. Like, what is that worth to you? It's worth a lot of money to me not to be chewed out, but you know.
So. No, it's hard to classify that ROI all the time. I mean, there's certain ways you can do it. You can say, well, probability was it would have taken us this duration and this kind of cost, and we can show you that. But really, at the end of the day, it could have been double that, could have been triple that, right? You never know, right? So that is always a challenge, right?